Hi guys, Chris here and you're watching Here We Are Running, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about becoming a pacer. Now pacing at a half marathon is something that I've been interested in doing for a while now, and when the opportunity arose to be the 2 hour 10 pacer at the Wokingham Half Marathon, I jumped at the opportunity. But the first thing I thought was, well, I need to prepare myself for this. So I reached out to some experienced pacers that I knew to try and get some tips and advice from them. Firstly, I went to Paul Addicott's blog post, Pick Up the Pace Paul, and he's got a blog post all about being a pacer. So I looked at those tips and there was some great advice there. And then I also spoke to Rich Baisley, who's a YouTube channel called Bays187, and Jason Walker, who's another experienced pacer that I knew. So I went to them and asked them for what were their tips, and here's what they had to say.
Hi, I'm Richard, my channel is Bays187 and Chris has asked me to give you a few tips about pacing. I've paced various distances at various events. These are my tips. Firstly, make sure that you select a pace that's comfortable for you. You can't be running really close to your own PB and your own ability, because if you encounter any kind of problem, you can't guarantee delivering that time. But if you factor in about 10 or 15 minutes of buffer, and that way, if you do encounter any issues, you can make pace adjustments because it's within your ability to do that. Make sure that you know the splits of the pace that you're doing in miles and kilometres, because you're going to get runners around you that work in both of those distances, and they might want to know, well, what are we on for Ks, what are we on for miles? You can deliver that information to them. Memorise those splits. Be really consistent in the splits as much as possible. If you go off too fast, obviously people are going to blow up, they're not going to be able to keep up at the end. Go off too slow, they're not going to be able to make up that distance at the end. You've left them too much work to do. Even distribution of effort throughout it is best. With that said though, you need to know the course that you're doing, because it may not be possible to deliver even splits on a really hilly course. You need to know where the hills are. Where are you going to have to slow down to stop pushing people's heart rates too high and making them blow up? And equally, if you're going to have to slow down, where can you speed up? Where's a nice downhill? Know that in advance. When you're out there on the course, you're not just a pace setter. Don't run around in silence. You're a mobile cheerleader, so you're running at a pace that's comfortable to you. You can talk to these people, you can look around. This person over here seems to be struggling. Give them a thumbs up, tell them they're doing well, really help them, really push them through mentally as well as pacing. The main thing about pacing I enjoy is getting people to the end in that PB time. So at the finish line, make sure you hang around and you speak to everybody that's run with you, and make sure you give them a high five, give them a pat on the back and all of that, because that is absolutely brilliant, just rejoicing in everyone else's achievements, and you just think, yes! If you're going out there for your first time pacing, I hope you have an absolute blast and really enjoy it.
Hi guys, Jason Walker here. Here's my top tips for being a pacer. First of all, number one, be prepared. Know the pace you're going to do and practice it in training. It'll become second nature on race day. Number two is wear a pace band. I use one of these, which is a pace pocket, and it helps you keep to your time for each mile right to the end, so make sure you come under time at the end and gets close to your target time. Number three, don't go out too quickly. It's easy to get caught out at the start and go off too fast. Remember, you're the pacer and you're running for others, not for yourself. And number four is encourage. Make sure as you go around, you're a mobile cheerleader and you're motivating the people around you. Make sure that they stay with you. And it gives them confidence to know where you are each mile, if you let them know where you are with regards to the time. But fifth and most important one is enjoy it. It's one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do as a runner, and to hear at the end when people have PBs and send you messages, it makes it all worthwhile. So there are my 5 tips. Cheers guys.
So having got some great tips from some really experienced pacers, the next thing I thought I should do is some practice runs to make sure that I could consistently run at a pace that would achieve a 2 hour 10 finish. So the first few practice runs I didn't go very well, in fact, because this pace for me was slower than what I was used to running. It took, I think, the third attempt, which was a few days before the actual half marathon itself, and everything then just seemed to click. So then onto the race day itself, and I felt well prepared going into it. Of course I had a few nerves, but really didn't need to be nervous at all. Each pacer group was running in pairs, which meant there was someone else to chat to during the race about the speed we were going and whether we were on track. Soon after the start, I looked around and saw a group of around 20 runners behind us. So early on I wanted to talk to the group, explain how we'd be pacing and give them some words of encouragement. So I felt building a rapport and keeping everyone motivated was one of the key tips I'd learnt from the experienced pacers. And then during the race, it was important to keep everyone informed of our progress, remind them to stay hydrated at the water stations and keep those words of support going, especially if I could see someone was struggling a bit. It was nice to have a chat with some of the other runners as we went round and find out a bit about their running journey too. Now I'm somebody that normally operates in kilometres and that's how I have my watch set up. So of course I was using that, but at a half marathon the distance markers are in miles. So something that was very, very helpful was this little thing here. It's called a pace pocket and it slips over onto your wrist like that. And on this side, if you can see that, it's got the distances in miles and the time that we should reach those distances in order to achieve our 2:10 pace. And you can get these pace pockets in all sorts of times and you can get them in miles or kilometres, but this was really handy for me, particularly as I could compare against the mile markers on the course with the time on here and looking at my watch at what time we had achieved. And we were always within a few seconds of where we should have been, which was really encouraging, and we maintained that consistent pace throughout. During the race we did lose a few runners along the way, but we also picked up some as well. And what I was told was that if you as a pacer finish the race alone, then you know you've done a good job. And that's because during that final mile, the people that are in your pacing group, they should be pushing ahead of you in order to come under the time that you're pacing to. And the best reward of it all was the thanks that we got from the runners when we crossed that finish line and they turned around and thanked us. Several people getting PBs. That was just the rewarding part of it all really for me. So it's definitely something I'd like to do again. I've got a lot of benefit out of it myself, very rewarding experience. And yeah guys, if you're interested in doing it at some point in your running journey, I would highly recommend it. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do hit that like button, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, why not consider subscribing? We have regular running content on this channel. But for now guys, goodbye.